Hey everybody, welcome to the Great Lakes Divide live stream. I'm Adam Biggers. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. For those of you who are regular viewers, you know the drill. I do the introduction. I'm going to go in and get into the chat, and I'm going to tweet the live link. So we're going to have a brief moment of a brief pause in the action here. But today we talked to Don Brown, the defensive coordinator. We talked to Jay Harbaugh, our running backs coach. So we'll focus the attention on that. I will go to, and it looks like, ooh, there's a newcomer. Hold on. So it looks like, it looks like there's some questions from you guys too on Twitter. A lot to get to. So hold on, let me see. Ethan's in here. Hey, Ethan, how's it going? John Brower says, yo, never been to this before. Aaron Wise says, what's up, Adam? Well, John, feel free to ask everybody else. Aaron and Ethan are longtime viewers. They know how this goes. Basically, I'll field your questions about anything. If I know it, I'll tell you. I'm not someone who's going to tell you that I'm the guy and I know everything, but I'm fairly accurate, and I'd like to think that I know a little bit about Michigan football. So we'll talk about that. But again, Don Brown, Jade Harbaugh, we're at media availability. Sounds like we'll get some players Friday night. There's a couple things I want. There's a tweet from Tom Fornelli that I want to address. It's fewest yards per play allowed in the college football playoff era. And Michigan tied for number 2, 4.5 yards per play. And that's pass and run. So 4.5 yards per play. And that's tied number 2. That's with Clemson. Alabama, number 1, 4.3. So, Ohio State, 4.6. Penn State, 4.7. Wisconsin, 4.7. And that just reinforces right there. You have 2, 4, 2, 4, and tied for 5, basically, pretty well-known teams in the Big Ten. So the Big Ten is going to be really strong this year. We'll talk about that. Let me tweet this live link, guys, and then we'll get into the questions. And again, I have some from Twitter. If you ever want to ask me a question, follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Follow Great Lakes Divide at GL Divide. That's on Twitter and Facebook. And then also GreatLakesDivide.com. So check that out. So give me one moment here. I'm going to tweet the live. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so bear with me. Okay, looks like that. So I'll give priority to the guys everybody who's in here. Big Bubble Blue says, I can't count past 4, so you get. Aaron Wise says, accurate, except for you don't think Shea will be the starting quarterback. Other than that, spot on, brother, huh? And Aaron, I'll say this. Shea is the favorite. I'll concede to that. But anybody who my point was, and I think it kind of gets twisted a little bit. My point was anybody who thought that the job was guaranteed, that he was just going to come in here and look, here's the keys. If he outperformed and earned the job, then that's one thing. And I have no problem believing that. I do believe that Shea most likely will be the starter. But I'm still not ready, like I said, I'm still not ready to just completely dismiss Brandon Peters like he's not going to compete. So, Shea's the favorite right now, and I think that it's pretty obvious with a line of questioning, and I think that Don Brown made it kind of clear today. But again, the question was geared towards Shea Brown, so no one's asked about Brandon Peters. But yes, guys, I know I said don't automatically assume it's Brandon, that it's Shea over Brandon. I just believe that there's always a competition for the job with a Harbaugh quarterback. I don't think that Shea Patterson entered the mix knowing 100% like, hey, this is my job. So that was kind of mine. And there's my dog, so there we go. Aaron White says, I know, man, just had to stir the pot with you, bud, all good. Hey, I'll take it. If I say it, I stand behind it. And yes, I did say that. I don't think that I said I don't believe that Shea Patterson is 100% locked for starting quarterback. I might eat those words at one point, but I'm not sure that, like I said, that the circumstances were when he came in that he didn't have to compete. And I think a lot of people were just automatically giving it to him. And my point, too, behind this is Michigan's coaching staff, how much faith do they have in Brandon Peters? Because, and I talked about this the other night on the audio-only podcast, and you can check that out with my co-host Ryan Schuling. That's on GreatLakesDivide.com. I brought up this question, and guys, this is a fair point. What is it if Brandon Peters isn't really contending for a starting job? What does that say about Michigan's ability to A, recruit a quarterback, and B, develop a quarterback? Now, I know Michigan recruited Shea Patterson, so they can identify talent, but think of it from this angle. If Brandon Peters turns out to be a bust, that's a black eye on the on Michigan's quarterback development, if you ask me. Big Bubble Blue says, I know it's going to be Shea. I love Peters, but I want to see McCaffrey. McCaffrey throws a great ball. I've always said that. Aaron Weiss says, no Collins, John, just Twitter and YouTube that I know of. Yeah, we'll get Collins because I want to take calls and things like that. I think that'd be fun. We'll do that. Um, Work on getting that. And I know it was brought up last season too, so we'll try to do that. Mike Zabrowski says, it says a lot that Don Brown respects Shea Patterson, though, Adam, that's huge. Yeah, and Don said that, guys, check out the interview. It's on this YouTube channel. Don Brown, a lot of respect for Shea Patterson. The way that Shea carries himself, the way that he's performed during practice, everything. So, John Brown says, oh, damn, or oh, darn. I automatically swear. My bad, John. I watch Uncle Lou, if you know who that is, and his live show as Collins, and it's great. I'm not familiar with Uncle Lou. Aaron Wise says, I'm excited for the next few years, Shane McCaffrey and Milton. Mike Zabrowski says he really has me excited about Josh Uche, talking about Don Brown, and very surprised to hear that Glasgow is the backup Viper. I would think Jamarick Woods or Josh Ross is the second Viper. Sounds like Josh is competing for Mike McCray's old job behind Devin Gill. I think it'll be Devin Gill, then Josh Ross, then Drew Singleton, then Jordan Anthony. Don Brown said that Jordan Anthony, uh, he said he came out of the closet. I think he probably wanted to use other words. He said he came out of the closet yesterday. I think what he meant was he had like a coming out party or, something else. But he had a really good practice. Josh Uche's put on 20 pounds, still running a 4.5, and dangerous. I think Uche is going to be in the mix as well. But yeah, so Jordan Glasgow, poor man's Khaleke Hudson is how Don Brown described him. Matt Crittenton says, I'm back, baby. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Parks Patel says McCaffrey needs a few cheeseburgers. Hey, it's hard for us thin guys. I mean, I eat a ton. And I can't put on weight to save my life. I've always been like that. I've never been over like 162 pounds. That's the most I've ever weighed in my life. I'm usually like 157, 158. I can't gain weight. It's ridiculous. And some guys just have super high metabolism. That might be the case for Dylan. But yeah, he's gained weight. He's listed at like 217. So I mean, I want to say I don't know what he came in as a true freshman, 188, 189, something like that. And 6'5" and 188, 189. You're a rail. You're real skinny at that point. CJ Anyakuru says, hello, Adam. Hey, CJ, how you doing? Matt Crittenton, do you see Josh Uche becoming more of a defensive end? Yes. Yes. Josh Uche will be a defensive end. Big Bubble Blue says, I'm shocked. Oh, TJ Bellware says, hello, Adam. Finally caught a live stream. How you doing, TJ? Sean Hull says, just seeing on the news at Twitter, McDoom has left the team. I just missed that. I actually saw Eddie today at Schembechler Hall. Very unmistakable blonde hair. I saw the bet. He was at Schembechler Hall today. Ethan Lahanis. Ethan, am I saying your last name right? He says, last year at Ole Miss, Matt Luke used Shea Patterson as a tempo setting, short gain throwing quarterback. How do you think Pep and Harbaugh will use him? Well, and that kind of stuff, I think Michigan has to go more. I want to see more aerial, like what we saw with Jedd Fish. And I don't know, and that's what I'm wondering. Is Shea Patterson the guy that can do that? Aaron Weiss says, Kyle, I don't believe they have an option but to run shotgun if Shea is starting. Have to mold to what Shea excels at. But at the same time, too, I mean, you can't leave Tariq Black and Donovan Peoples-Jones out of the equation. If there's not that deep element to that, then why do you even have those two guys? I mean, maybe Donovan, for the shorter game, but deep threat Tariq. I mean, you got to incorporate Tariq into this offense. He's their biggest threat at wide receiver. So you have to have a quarterback that's going to be able to deliver the ball to him. And if they want to go with this RPO and shotgun short gain stuff, where's Tariq Black in this? At least the best of Tariq Black. John Brower says, Adam, do you live in Ann Arbor? I do not. I live in Flint. Mike Zabrowski says, "Who's the source for the McDoom rumor?" Yeah, I'd be interested to see it. Let me. I'm gonna do a quick search right now because you have to believe. You can't always believe what you read on Twitter. And I told you guys last year who are reliable and who isn't. Wolverine Lounge. Okay, I know who that is. That Eddie McDoom is leaving the program. Okay, well, you better be sure. That's all I have to say. Yeah, TJ Butler. Yeah, Wolverine Lounge is a guy named Brandon Justice. So I'm not over I'm not overly familiar with his work too much. Mike Sobrowski said, "I just heard he was looking good from Michael Spath." I mean, Eddie was at Schembechler Hall today. I saw him. CJ Onyekuru says they haven't really used him the right way. Well, I mean, I think they used McDoom the only way. I mean, McDoom was, end around guy. I mean, I think they used him the right way. Ethan says, speaking of aerial attack, Harbaugh spoke highly of McElwain at Big Ten Media Day. Will he help the receivers get open downfield for Shea? Well, I mean, and McElwain is a guy he likes the RPO too. So I mean, and that might come into play. But I mean, he's Florida had pretty good receivers under Jim McElwain. It's camp guys. I mean, it's really early to. I can't tell you definitively what they're going to run and who they're going to cater to. Obviously, if it's Shea Patterson, the quarterback, they're going to want to cater to some of his strengths. You always want to do that. I have a dog who's going crazy right now. Mike Zabrowski says, Adam, in your opinion, who will be named the offensive coordinator? That's a good question. I asked Jay Harbaugh that today. They don't have one specifically named, so I don't know if it's going to be offensive coordinator by committee. I believe they're at the limit. They can't bring in another guy to be offensive coordinator. So I mean, I don't know if they just slap, offensive coordinator label, co-offensive coordinator labels on, Jim McElwain, Pep Hamilton, or Jim McElwain rather. Yeah, because right now, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe Ed Warner. I don't know. That's a question for Jim Harbaugh or Dave Abloff per Jay Harbaugh today. So hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. My dog is going completely bananas here. So I gotta let him out. I'll be right back. Sorry for the break. Hold on. All right, and we're back. Sorry for the break. All right, guys. Ballgame 41 says, Adam, late to the chat, but do you see Luigi being in this too deep this year? We could get into that, guys. There's probably 7, 8, 9 guys. I asked Don Brown. They're really deep at defensive line, but I think Chase, obviously, Rashawn, Michael Dwumford. I mean, Chase and Rashawn, obviously, on the ends. They're going to start. As far as who's the starting tackles, I'm not completely sure. I ran up those stairs. I tried to be as quick as I could. I'm not completely sure. I have a pretty good idea of the two deep. I think Luigi will be in the two deep. But again, Quiddy Pay, Michael Dwumford, Brian Monet is going to be a first and second down guy. catch up to some of these. Mike Zabrowski says we are so deep in on the line, it's really hard to tell who will be in the two deep. Yeah, and that's kind of my assumption too. Like I said, I have a good idea, but I mean, there's 9 guys really that I think have a chance, and four positions. So I think defensive end set. I see Josh Uche being in the two deep, possibly. Brian Irving Bay. It sounds like he's a guy who's on the edge of the two deep, so maybe he's a third option. Ethan wants to know. We heard a lot about Aubrey Solomon last year. Will he do much this year? I haven't really heard a lot about Aubrey, and there were really high expectations for Aubrey Solomon. A lot of people thought that he was going to be able to start last year. I mean, people had pretty high expectations for Donovan Jeter. Donovan's working too. I didn't get the vibe from Don Brown that, Donovan Jeter or God, I'm sorry, my dogs have me preoccupied here. I didn't really get the vibe that Donovan Jeter or like Deron Irving Bay were right there, solid in the two deep. They sound like they're kind of on the outside looking in. D-Strin 21 wants to know, has Monet met weight requirements? I know we heard earlier that he was too heavy. We haven't talked to him yet. Last year, I know that he had lost some weight. He had gained some weight, then he had lost some weight. Mike Zabrowski says that Corey Hughes from Utah looked good last year. I'm curious to see if he comes on the field. He'll be a safety. I don't know if he's probably more special teams guy. I can't seem to get through a live stream between my dogs freaking out over my neighbor and a phone call here. Grant Perry going to start at the slot. Matt Sharp wants to know. I would assume. CJ Anyekuru says, I'm really rooting for Luigi. Looked like he had great potential coming out of high school. I think Luigi, and last year, having the red shirt benefits him. I mean, it was a really deep line. I mean, again, guys, we're talking, 7, 8, 9, probably upwards of, and really if you want to count the fringe guys, I mean, we're talking 10, 11, 12. So there's only really a few guys that I haven't heard. And that's an easier list. Like Ron Johnson, Reuben Jones. Haven't really heard anything about those two. Aiden Hutchinson, true freshman, that is a guy now that was mentioned by Don Brown. So keep an eye out for Aiden Hutchinson. Big Bubble Blue says Luigi will replace Gary. Mr. Johnson wants to know how many shutouts this season. That's a good question. I'm going to hold on here because I had the win. I don't know. It's a tough schedule. Maybe SMU, maybe Western and SMU, week 2, week 3. Maybe one of those two games, maybe a shutout. But I can't see them shutting out Northwestern. Can't see them really shutting out Maryland. Not going to shut out Wisconsin. Not going to shut out Michigan State, not going to shut out Penn State, maybe at Rutgers. But again, I talked about the Rutgers game last night on the audio-only podcast, and check that out at GreatLakesDivide.com. Let's say Michigan has a year that, a lot of people want them to have. Fans want them to have. Let's say that Michigan just strings everything together, and they go and they're on the road 9-0 at Rutgers. Because I was asked, does Michigan have a trap game? I don't think Michigan has a trap game on the schedule this year. It's too strong of a schedule. It's number 11 ranked schedule in the country. I don't think you can say that there's a trap game on that. But is there a game where and people say, well, that's a trap game. A game where you gotta have to, keep your guard up a little bit. I don't know if you're going mid-November, and you're 9-0 and you're going to Rutgers and you sleepwalk through that game. Maybe you catch a surprise and that's one that you drop. I don't know, but. I don't think Michigan will be 9-0 at that point, but that was just kind of a scenario that, went with the question. But as far as how many shutouts this year, maybe Western, maybe SMU. So I would guess 2 tops, 1.5. I'm I'm taking the safe road. I'm going 1.5 shutouts, Mr. Johnson. Big Bubble Blue says, for some reason I see Northwestern beating us. Northwestern always, always pesky. Always a pesky team. Ethan wants to know, Tariq Black showed major flashes last year. DPJ gained major experience, but we didn't see a ton of Nico Collins. Will he have an impact? I haven't really heard a ton about Nico. I mean, he's gained some weight, but I haven't really heard a ton about Nico. And again, guys, this was the first camp availability. We'll have availability Friday night. So what I'll probably do is do a live stream Saturday, I'm guessing. Probably Saturday morning. And once I get, once camp, expect, like a Monday, Wednesday live stream. D-Strin 21 wants to know, how is Julius Weishoff developing? Because we've heard a lot about his athleticism. I haven't heard anything new about him. But yeah, I mean, he's very athletic. I'm excited about the possibilities with Julius. Demario Vaughn says, Adam, man, I haven't been to a live stream since you were with FanRag. Good to see you back. Yeah, thanks, Demario. Started my own outlet with my friend Ryan Schuling. He's covering Michigan State. I'm covering Michigan. If you guys are familiar with Ryan, he's been at 92.1 the team in Lansing. He's covered Michigan State football and Michigan State basketball. Very knowledgeable. So I think between the two of us, we're going to do a pretty good job of covering Michigan and Michigan State. Mike Zabrowski says, sleeper, superstar, and defense Brad Hawkins. Keep hearing his name in high praises. Don Brown said that Brad probably made the biggest jump of any defensive player as a whole. But he also mentioned that Jalen Kelly Powell made the biggest strides of any defensive back. YouTube wants to know, any updates on Grant Newsome? No updates. On the road to recovery. Optimistic. That's the last that we've heard. Kyle Prang or Prange. Is it Prang or Prange, Kyle? Do you think the defense is going to do more zone instead of all man-to-man? I don't know yet. I mean, that's something that they're going to game plan on a week-to-week basis. I can't look at the schedule and say so. Sean DeBoer says, hey, Adam, joining a little late. I don't know if you touched on McDoom leaving. Is that confirmed? Is that another not getting enough playing? I haven't seen anything else. It looks like Wolverine Lounge was the first to report it. MGO Blog has an exit Eddie McDoom post. So I would say yes, that it seems. And I actually know a guy who played for me this summer who knows Eddie McDoom. So maybe I need to get on the phone and see how Eddie dates this guy's girlfriend, or not his. Eddie dates not. Eddie doesn't date his girlfriend. Eddie dates this girl that he knows who is his friend from high school, not his girlfriend. All right, there we go. Gotta make sure I say that right. Jeed says, what up, Adam? Thanks for the YouTube videos. Hey, Jeed, thanks. Kyle says, if McDoom is for sure gone, I wish him the best, but I don't think it will hurt too much. They have a lot of depth at wide receiver. I mean, a lot. I don't think it's a crushing blow. I liked Eddie. I thought he was a pretty good dude. Really good interview. Ballgame 41 says, the reason why I asked about ground game scheme is because I have a feeling we'll be dominant on the interior this year. A lot of strength at guard spots, powers on inside. I don't know, because, I mean, right guard was pretty questionable last year, wasn't it? Right side of the line in general. I don't see a dominant O-line. I have to see it before I can believe it. I'll be pessimist. I have no problem being optimist when it comes to the defensive line because it's proven. I'm pessimistic when it comes to Michigan's offensive line. Sean DeBoer, who's number 3 on the running back depth? Well, there's no number 3. It's a 1-1 punch is what Jay Harbaugh described it as. So Chris and Karan, and it sounds like True Wilson will be in there as that third option. Omari Samuels made strides. I think it was Andrew Valancourt of the Wolverine. He asked about Omari, but they just said he improved. Nothing in particular. As far as freshman running backs, no. I mean, I don't. I think that it'll be the Chris and Karan show. Ben Mason at fullback and Ben Van Sumeren. Mason possibly doing a little bit on defense, and I imagine it'd be as a linebacker. He might, and that was from Jay Harbaugh. Ethan says Ole Miss had an awful line last year, and Shea still made stuff happen. Even a decent O line could help keep the pass game alive. And pass protection was a big thing too. I mean, with the running backs, that was a big thing last year. But I mean, I think that as a whole, I mean, Michigan, the right side of Michigan's offensive line struggled. I mean, if you look at how many times when John O'Corn got all the sacks, I mean, I didn't break down the stats. Maybe I should, but I mean, I'm pretty confident saying that like at least I would say 80% of the sacks were from the right side last year. Any more questions, guys? I think there's some on Twitter. Let me get to those. I'm gonna get going here shortly because I need to get some dinner and do some work. Gonna do some writing. BL wants. This was a good question. Do you think this can be one of the most dominant defensive lines in Michigan history, Adam? That if I say yes because we've seen. I mean, history is unfolding in front of us right now. I think with Don Brown, Greg Madison, this combination. Brown is the defensive coordinator. Madison is the defensive line coach. We've seen like three historically great defensive lines at Michigan for like the past 3 years. So can I see this year? I don't know if it'll surpass what we've seen. It'll be on par with what we've seen. I'm very confident in saying that. Especially only knowing for sure two starters, right? Chase and Rashawn on the ends. But I'm pretty confident in saying that. Can it be? Or will it be? I don't know if it will be. Can it be? Yeah. The coaching's there. The depth is there. I mean, with Michigan's defensive line, guys, I feel I'm repeating like, it's the same 15, 16, 17. So beginning in 2015, really, 16, and then 17. I mean, it's the same story. And really, if you go back to it, if you look at 2014, when Greg Madison was the defensive coordinator, Michigan's defensive line was really started. It looked like, okay, look, this is backbone material, right? This is something that can really be a signature of the program. I think that's all the questions. Any more, guys? I want to go grab some dinner, and we're approaching about 30 minutes. Usually, I try to do these anywhere between like 30 and 45 minutes, depending on. Ethan Legitis wants to know who is set to fill Mo Hurst's spot. I think it's Michael Dwumfor. That's what I think. I think Michael takes over for Mo, and I think Quiddy is behind Chase. D-Strun21 says, I think Khaleke Hudson will lead the team in sacks and tackles for losses. I don't know about sacks, but tackles for losses, I can see that. What do you have last year? You have like 16 or 17 tackles for loss. Yeah, more than Jabril. Or exactly the amount. Because what? Jabril had like 16 and a half, 15 and a half as a Viper. So, and Khaleke had 16 last year. And 7.5 sacks. I mean, and last, if I'm not mistaken, that was a team lead last year in sacks. Let me double check that. No, it's Chase. Yeah, I was gonna say Chase with 8.5. Jeeds 18.5. SportsReference.com is saying who are you talking about had 18.5. Is that your prediction? Yeah, Winovich led team. Sports right at 8.5, 9. I don't know where 9.5. I don't know. Sometimes it depends. Are they giving him a full sack or a half sack? Big Bubble Blue says David Long leading in sacks. Mark my words. That's a bold prediction. Big Bubble Blue. We'll hold you to that. Alan Wilbur says, have you seen where Bennett is practicing at since he was recruited as an athlete? I mean Barrett, Michael Barrett Jr. He'll play both sides of the ball. That much I could say with certainty. I mean Barrett posted it himself, but Don Brown basically confirmed that today. I can't tell you exactly where. I would think somewhere. I don't know. Maybe some. I don't know if it's as a Viper, maybe outside linebacker. I don't know, safety. I mean he's pretty versatile. Pretty versatile. Matt Crittenden says I asked a question above about DB depth. David Long, Lavert Hill, Jalen Kelly Powell. Um, Trying to think here. Who else have we heard? Tyree Kennel. Tyree will start as a safety. The starting safeties, I think, are going to be Tyree and I don't know, maybe Jalen Kelly Powell. Big Bubble Blue says, peace out. Catch you on the next one. Sean DeBoer, Khalid going to play in the offense? I don't know. He was a running back in high school, if you guys remember. He was really good. And there were some whispers when he came in that maybe that was going to be an option. But let me see. David, I'm trying to think. I'm out. David and Lavert, Tyree, maybe Josh Metellus, Jalen Kelly Powell. I'm not sure on that free safety spot, but that's strong. Tyree. All right, guys, we're gonna call it a go. I don't want to get in the Urban Meyer right. Jeeds, we talked about Urban Meyer last, not specifically with any recruiting. I mean, obviously, I think this is going to be a situation that's going to affect recruiting, undoubtedly. Don didn't mention Jamaric. No, he didn't. I mean, I think Jamaric's in there as far as a too deep conversation. Matt Crittenden says, if Long and Hill get drafted, is there depth to replace that at cornerback? Yeah, and that's what Michigan's defense has done. I mean, I don't think there are too many questions about depth and talent, development, any of that. I mean, it's Michigan's defense is a pretty well-oiled machine. I think all of the questions are on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, yeah, there are minor questions, but anything that I could think of that's major is all on the offensive side of the ball. There's nothing major to worry about defensively. Mr. Johnson says Ben, I haven't really heard anything about St. Juice lately. And he was a guy that was progressing. He just learned how to play football late in high school. He's from Canada. Ball game 41 says, appreciate you answering my question, then. I'm glad you're back, man. Got to get back to work. Yeah, thanks, thanks for taking a break from work. Appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here and get some dinner here. Canfield Racing says, yo, what's up, big dog? Hey, Canfield Racing. Mike Zabrowski says, do you think we will have more fumble recoveries or interceptions? That's a good question. I mean, Shea Patterson did throw some interceptions last year, guys. He did. Ethan says, great live stream. Thanks, Adam. Matt says, thanks, Adam. Have a good night. You guys too. Yeah, I'll end on this with Mike's question. Do you think we'll have more fumble recoveries or interceptions? I'm gonna go fumble. I'll go fumble recoveries, and I mean, and that's a lot of fumble recoveries. A lot of fumble recoveries. Because let's look what Two, three, four, five. Like 10 forced fumbles last year, 11 forced fumbles last year. So do I think as a team or the starter? Well, I'll go with the starter. Do I think Michigan's starting quarterback throws, and we'll set that line at 10 or 11. Do I think Michigan's starting quarterback throws more than 11 interceptions this year? No, I don't. So if we're going to go with that, and can Michigan's defense force 10 or more fumbles? I think that's more likely than, or 10 or 11 than Michigan's quarterback throwing 11 interceptions. I think that's more likely. All right, guys. I think everybody. Alan. Okay, I'll end on this. What's the prediction on the record? I'm going. I'm going. If Michigan has a star quarterback, offensive lines, this is a 10-win team. But I'm going 8-4, 9-3, based on the schedule, and because I'm not. I mean, Shea Patterson's a really good quarterback. I know that. I just. I had. I'm kind of pessimistic on the quarterback situation right now. And I don't know. I don't even know if pessimistic is the right word to use. I just want to see it's. There's so much hype built around this. I want to see it. I want to see this. So I think I could probably a more accurate gauge of Shea Patterson or whoever the starter is, which likely Shea Patterson, and I'm slowly convincing myself that it's that. And I did, like I said, I never thought it was just going to be handed to Shea. So with that said, I mean nine. I mean in the middle 9-3. But I mean, do I think there's potential for 10 wins here? Yes, and especially with a dominant defense. If Michigan has a really good offense, 10 wins. If Michigan's offense struggles and the defense has to carry it, then it'll be a similar year like last year. Still a respectable season. And again, guys, the Big Ten is absolutely loaded. This is probably the best Big Ten that I've seen in my lifetime. And I think a lot of people are saying historically this is probably the strongest Big Ten. I can tell you what I know, and I've been watching Big Ten football since. Well, I mean, I told you how old I was. I've been watching Big Ten football since I was about 6 or 7 years old. So we're talking 80, 87, 88. Got a few years on me. John Brower says 9-3 is a bad year. No, not in this Big Ten, John. No way, man. Have you seen the schedule? I know you've seen the schedule, John. You think 9-3 is a bad year with this schedule? You have Notre Dame, Michigan State, and Ohio State. Michigan hasn't beaten all three rivals since 2003. I mean, that's hard to do. Win 3 rivalry games in a year. Yeah, Penn State at home. That's going to be a big game. Wisconsin at home. That's going to be a big game. Nebraska at home. What are we going to see from Nebraska? A lot of people are expecting Nebraska to be, the Nebraska of old. Scott Frost is going to do to Nebraska what everybody thought that Jim Harbaugh was going to come and do at Michigan. And I'm not discounting Harbaugh. I think he's done a great job at Michigan. But people thought, okay, year 4, we're really going to end it on this because I'm hungry. Year 4, guys, I thought a lot of you thought Michigan would have a Big Ten championship by now, an appearance in the college football playoff. Am I wrong or am I right? Because that's what Harbaugh was brought to Michigan to do, right? He was brought here to lead the pack. But I think you also have to take into consideration he's come into a Big Ten that has Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin. What are we going to see out of Nebraska? This is a really strong Big Ten. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. Again, I'll try to have another live stream Saturday morning. Check out all the videos. Well, not all of them. I have 2 new ones. Don Brown, Jay Harbaugh. Give those a look. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Follow Great Lakes Divide at GL Divide. That's on Twitter and Facebook. GreatLakesDivide.com. Like I said, we have a podcast. Follow my co-host Ryan Schuling at Ryan Schuling. That's SCHUILING. And that's pretty much it. So I'll have some written content coming up, stuff from Don Brown. Going to focus on the depth of the defensive line. And honestly, these conversations, I like having these conversations because they get me warmed up for writing. So appreciate it, guys. feel like I don't want one more. Mike Sprowski says, you're right, and I think this is his best team. It's just so tough, like you said, with the schedule. All right, Mike, we're ending it on that because you agree with me, and I like that. All right, guys, have a great Wednesday night. Thanks for joining me again. I'm Adam Biggers. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Biggers81. Thanks to everybody who's been